Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this session about accelerating your FP&A career path brought to you by FP&A Professionals Institute. This session we have designed in a very special way. This is going to be your closest experience to working in FP&A. So this will give you that complete taste of how is it like to work in FP&A. So over the next 60 minutes, get rid of all the distractions. This is going to be a super exciting session. We will get involved in a lot of discussions where I will ask you to type your responses in the chat box. So get ready with it and focus on your screens and then answer questions in the chat box. A little bit about us before we begin with. My name is Dhawal Parvatikar. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I've also completed my executive management program from IIM Ahmedabad. Over the last 16 years, I've served as CFO and finance leader in various Indian and multinational corporations across India and the Middle East. I'm now the co-founder of FP&A Professionals Institute. I've trained and mentored thousands of finance professionals. I've also been an active online trainer over the last 5 years, and I've trained thousands of professionals on various topics like FP&A, finance business partnering, data storytelling, CFO coaching, and much more. Over the last 12 to 18 months, I've also had the privilege of being part of more than 10 CFO events. Somewhere I've gone in as a host, somewhere I've organized the event, somewhere I've gone in as a panelist. So I've got this privilege to build a community of 200 plus CFO connections in the Middle East in the last 12 to 18 months. So I'm happy to partner with my co-founder, Asif Masani here. So I'll let Asif introduce himself quickly.
Thanks, Dhawal. First of all, thank you all for joining. Quickly about me, I have been working in finance FP&A for over a decade now, mostly in FP&A roles across different industries. So I started my career as a FP&A analyst with Citi, and then my most recent role was as a FP&A lead for India and APAC at Coursera. So I've been working in FP&A for over a decade, have written a couple of books helping people move into FP&A, all about FP&A and from accounting to FP&A. Also, I've contributed countless number of articles and videos to various FP&A forums, including FP&A Trends, FP&A Business Finance and Alliance, and happy to join with Dhawal today. Also, what we have been doing is we get this opportunity to meet experts across the globe from North America, Europe, Middle East, and whenever we get an opportunity to speak to FP&A experts, we try to bring that through our podcast, books, and certifications and courses. So that has been our mission, upskilling FP&A and finance professionals. Quickly covering what we have been doing over the last few years. So it's all started with Dhawal's FP&A Foundations course back in 2018, and it was one of the first courses ever on it. And we came together in 2022 when I launched my first book, which was all about FP&A. And we started our first FP&A masterclass live cohort of 25 students back in 2022, September 2022. And from that cohort onwards, we've never looked back. We have trained more than 3,500 students. I think the number must have been more about 4,000 by now, and across all those courses that you see. And very excited about our flagship 6 month certification program, which has already done 4 cohorts, and we are in the process of enrollments for the 5th cohort, which starts in June. We'll talk a little bit about it after the webinar is over, but happy to join you all today. Thank you for taking the time, and I'll pass it back to Dhawal.
Thank you, Asif. So what are we going to cover today? So like I said, it's going to be an exciting next 45 minutes. So get rid of all the distractions. We'll first start by understanding the FP&A world and how the FP&A roles are different from finance and accounting roles. How FP&A acts as a bridge between various business teams. So why FP&A is at the center and it is acting as a bridge between various business teams and the senior management in the company. Then how do you prepare for FP&A roles? We'll look at some tips and techniques. And then finally, we'll understand a little bit about certifications that are available in the FP&A field. So the format of this particular session will be slightly different. Like I said, we'll understand the FP&A world with a real life case study. And I'm going to ask you some questions and you will be actively putting your responses in the chat box. And with that, you will get a taste of how is it like to work in FP&A. So that's a format that we'll be following today. Okay, so how does it really feel like to work in FP&A? How does a typical day look like? When I go into the office, what happens? What do I interact with the CFOs? What do I interact with the business leaders? How is it like, how does it feel to really work in a true FP&A function? So let's try and understand that with a quick case discussion. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is 2 steps. One is I'll read out the case study for you. That will set some context for you. And then I'm going to ask you some questions, or we will discuss a little bit about this case study. And then we will move into the next steps of what I'm planning to explain. Okay. So let's get started. So I'll read out the case study for you. Titan is an FMCG company with manufacturing plant on the outskirts of Mumbai, India. Primarily, the company sells three main groups of products: watches, jewelry, and eyewear. The products are sold in India as well as Middle East and African markets. The business will now be structured as three business units: watches, jewelry, and eyewear. Okay. There's a restructuring that is happening. The business is now going to be structured in different business units. Okay. Each of the business units will be headed by a business unit head who will be responsible for the overall performance of the business unit. The entire hierarchy of the organization comprises of these said business units. The majority of the staff are mapped to a single business unit, and other common staff like senior management, support staff, like finance, HR, all of them will continue to be at the corporate level. You were recently hired as the FP&A lead at Titan to support the CFO. Your team consists of BU FP&A managers. So you're the FP&A lead sitting at the corporate level, reporting to the CFO. And there are different business unit FP&A managers, and they have a couple of analysts under them as well, and two FP&A analysts in each team. The CEO, CFO, and senior business leaders in the company have a few questions. As an FP&A lead, you are required to work with the team to develop reports that will answer these questions. Okay, I hope you got the context. You're working as an FP&A lead, you are a new FP&A lead, okay, and you have a team of FP&A managers and analysts sitting in various business units, okay. So the first thing that I want you to do right now is think about this business, okay, visualize this business, okay, and I want you to type questions in the chat box that you would ask as an FP&A leader to understand the performance of the business, okay. What would you analyze, or what questions would you ask your team of FP&A analysts or managers as an FP&A lead? Okay, get into the skin of an FP&A lead and start typing in the questions that you would ask to understand the performance of the business. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the chat box. Okay, I'm going to look at your responses and also start capturing these responses here in the, sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, on the slide as well. Yeah, so come on. So you are an FP&A lead. What questions would you ask to understand the performance of the business? Let's say you have just closed a financial year or a quarter. What questions would you ask to understand the performance of the business? Come on. Don't Google or ChatGPT this. Just go by your instinct. Get into the skin of the character. Just get into the skin of an FP&A lead. Top line performance. So I'm just typing sales or revenue or top line. That's what Sarvani says. Sonal says, which division performed the best? Okay, so I'm going to type it as BU performance, business unit performance, or divisional performance. Okay, what other questions would you ask? Come on. Don't Google or ChatGPT. You're a film star. Get into the character of an FP&A lead. What is a product-wise revenue in various geographical areas? Excellent. So product-wise performance, okay, or let's say product-wise revenue, I'll go by your answer, revenue, and geographical performance. So region-wise revenue, yeah, okay. How much revenue is being generated from each of the business unit and how much it is deviating from the plan? So we talk about business unit performance, right? So let me say business unit revenue here as well, okay. Then a couple of you mentioned about actual versus budget or deviating from the certain standard performance. So that will come under actual versus budget. Okay. Actual versus budget or actual versus your last forecast that you may have prepared. If it is during the financial year, you might have prepared a forecast. If it's at the start of the financial year, then you may have prepared a budget. Okay. Actual versus budget or a forecast. Okay. What else? Which product is a star cash cow? Wow. We got a strategy professional here as well. What is this framework called where it says about star, cash cow, all of these things, dog, right? All of these things. The framework is called the BCG matrix. That's the metrics that people use. Okay. So what you are trying to understand is product portfolio performance. Which of the products are doing well? Which of the products are not doing well? Okay. Product portfolio performance. Okay. What else? What are the key factors that affected the sales during the different seasons. Okay. So I would say again, go to sales and say a seasonality impact on top line. Okay. Seasonality impact on top line. Any major in the COGS. Okay. I would say COGS or gross margins, or even BU. Actually, we have taken BU profitability here. So gross margins, product gross margins. Maybe let me put here BU profitability. Okay, fabulous. So you got so many questions. That you are trying to ask to understand the performance of the business. That's fascinating, isn't it? Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll take a slightly different twist now. Okay. Snehi is present, saying cost benefit analysis of different activities like marketing. Okay. So let us take it as marketing performance. Okay. Let's take marketing performance as well in this. Okay, now stop your responses and start focusing on the slides again. So all of you answered or rather gave me these questions to understand the business. Sorry, there's some background noise. Please mute yourselves. Okay, so you gave me these questions to understand the performance of the business. And I must say, these are excellent questions that you have asked. These truly help us bring out the performance of the business. You spoke about seasonality, you spoke about top line, you spoke about profitability, you spoke about business units, geography, actual versus budget. I think this is a great mix of questions that you all asked. Okay. Now what will we do is, now let us look at some of the questions that the CFO is asking. Okay. And now what you will be doing is you will be giving me the responses in as to which report does this answer. Does the CFO's question, will the CFO question be answered? Okay. So question from the CFO, what you need to do is understand the question from the CFO and give me the name of the report or the statement or Excel working, whatever you feel is right, which will answer this question from the CFO. Okay. Again, no Google or ChatGPT, just go by your instinct. Okay. There's no right or wrong answer here. Okay. Here is a question from the CFO. How have the watches, jewelry and eyewear business units performed in terms of revenue, margin and cost efficiencies compared to the last year? What report do you think will give me this answer? Come on. Type your responses in the chat box. P&L. Would this be answered by any P&L? P&L is broad. P&L answers me company level answers. Okay. Sonal says actual versus budget. Okay, but actual versus budget, will it give me last year's performance? Margin report. Company level margin report. Which margin report? Variance analysis. Okay. Variance analysis in which you are comparing it with the last year's numbers. Maybe. Okay. So the question, understand that the question is being directed towards business unit performance. Okay. So what you will be looking at is the business unit wise profitability report along with the year-on-year performance of how these business units are performing. Current year versus last year, current year year to date versus last year year to date. These are the kind of reports that you will be looking at. Let's go to the next question. Given your expansion in the Middle East and Africa, markets, are we meeting our sales growth targets in those markets? And how does FX volatility impact our net revenue there? What report do you think will answer this question? Think about it. Okay, take 10 seconds to think and then answer. There's no hurry here. We all are here to learn, isn't it? Cash flow. How will my sales growth target be understood from cash flow statement? So cash flow is a wrong answer. I am talking about my sales performance, my sales, my revenue, my top line. Let me give you a hint. Hint is similar to what you saw in answer 1, but just that it is not business unit. Again, actual versus budget at what level? Think about it. Okay. Let me give you the answer. You need to extract a regional sales performance report or a regional profitability report. Okay. You can also extract a FX impact analysis or work out FX impact analysis to see what is the impact of foreign exchange transactions. Okay. What is the exchange gain or loss? Okay. Gross margin by market, which means what I'm trying to do here is understand the gross margin per market. Yeah. Sorry, just give me a second. Let me minimize this. Perfect. Okay. So gross margin analysis per market or market level performance, market level sales report. I need to extract that report. Here's another question coming from the CFO. You're the FP&A leader. Get into the character. Watches and jewelry have historically been our cash cows. Are they still carrying the company, or is eyewear now a more meaningful contributor? What report will answer this question? Think about it. Come on, come on, come on. Type your responses in the chat box. Performance, product-wise income statement. Okay. Business unit-wise P&L report. Now you're getting into the skin of it, right? Now you're getting it again. So here, BU contribution margin report, right? So this business unit-wise contribution, and again in that product level contribution or product level profitability analysis to understand which product are leading, which product is lagging, what is the contribution level of each of these products or business units to the company. Okay. Next question, and this is the last one. We expected SG&A, that is selling general and administration expenses, SG&A efficiency gains post restructuring. What was the restructuring? We moved into a business unit level restructuring, right? Are our corporate overheads declining as a percentage of revenue? Declining as a percentage of revenue. So what report will you review? Think about it. No Google or ChatGPT. Just go by your instinct. Your FP&A lead. You should have answers. Post restructuring, SG&A, selling general and administration expenses. They come after gross margins. Business unit wise expense report. Okay, to some extent. BU report expense is not the answer. Don't do guesswork. Just because all the answers were BU report, BU P&L. Now you're asking or answering that the next answer is BU report or BU wise operating profit. No, so basically what you're looking at is SG&A cost trend analysis at the corporate level, right? End of the day, where the SG&A is sitting, that doesn't matter, because after the business unit contribution levels, at the company level, there could be a lot of common SG&A expenses that you would be incurring or corporate overheads that you could be incurring. Now you want to understand corporate overheads as a percentage of overall company revenue. Has it been able to come down or no? For example, let's say if the corporate overheads or SG&A expenses were 5% of gross sales or 5% of sales in the last year. Through this restructuring, have we been able to bring it to at least 4.2%, 4%? That is what the answer question the CFO is looking for. Okay, it need not necessarily be a business unit level clarity that they are looking for. Okay, now these are some of the questions that the CFO asked you, and you kind of figured out what report from your system, from your working in your day-to-day FP&A life will answer these questions that come from the CFO. Okay, but on a day-to-day basis, you will get questions not just from the CFO. You will get questions from the business teams, from the business unit lead, from the CEO, from the CMO, okay, from the sales head, and they could be different questions, and you could be probably referring to these different kind of reports and answering those questions. Okay. Now, one observation in these questions. So what did you observe in these questions? Let me tell you the observation. Okay. None of these questions were answered by your knowledge of accounting. None of these answers lie in IFRS or accounting standards or US GAAP or any of those accounting standards for that matter, or any of the accounting stuff that we have learned in our careers. Okay. What are these? These are performance-oriented questions. These are commercial questions. These are the questions that tell the CEO and other senior business leaders in the company how the business is performing. That's what ultimately they are interested in. What accruals you take every month, what GL entry do you pass every month? None of the senior leaders are interested in that. They are interested in the performance of the business, right? That is the main distinction between how an accounting role functions or a compliance-oriented role functions versus a FP&A role, a financial planning and analysis role. FP&A role is far more future-looking, and it is also decision support, performance support as a nature of it. Okay. Now, how does FP&A act as a bridge between various stakeholders and teams in a company? Okay. You understood how is it like to work in FP&A. Now, how do you truly collaborate with these various stakeholders? Finance is not an isolated function. On many occasions, you will be collecting a lot of inputs and updates from these various business stakeholders. And on the other hand, you will be providing a lot of reports and insights to these stakeholders to take some decisions. Okay. Now, what are some of the things? How will you collaborate with HR? Okay. You will be discussing about workforce planning, headcount forecasting, salaries, increment planning, incentives, benefits. All of these things you will be discussing and planning for the upcoming months or upcoming quarters in the forecast, or for the next financial year if you are preparing your budget. Okay. With the sales team, you will be discussing about revenue forecasting, pipeline analysis, sales performance metrics, KPIs. How do you design incentives and commissions for the sales staff? These are the things that you will be collaborating with the sales team to discuss. Okay. With marketing team, marketing ROI analysis, return on ad spends, campaign performance, marketing budget allocation. Okay. When do you step up the marketing? When do you step down the marketing? All of these things you will be discussing with the marketing director. With production and operations, you would be discussing about capacity planning, utilization, productivity and yield ratios, especially in a manufacturing company. Cost efficiency, measures to optimize this, inventory carrying cost, all of these things you will be discussing at the operations level. Then with supply chain department, you will be looking at optimizing your entire supply chain, inventory management, working capital optimization, freight cost analysis and optimization, right? Pricing, all of these things are coming under the supply chain domain. And everything has an impact on FP&A because whatever decision you take, it is going to impact your forecast, it is going to impact your top line, it is going to impact your business unit performance, it's going to impact ultimately your company performance. Okay, so that is where FP&A acts as a bridge between these various stakeholders and the senior management in the company. Okay. Now, again, all of these things that you saw, from workforce planning to capacity utilization to marketing campaigns, none of these are related to your accounting knowledge. These are all commercial in nature. These are all performance oriented. Okay. Now, how do you prepare for FP&A roles? This is a significant shift, right? You come from accruals, GL, accounting, compliances, balance sheet, profit and loss account. Now you have to suddenly look at performance, budgeting, forecasting, management reporting, variance analysis, sensitivity analysis, seasonality, trends, pricing, variance analysis, profitability analysis, different types of profitability analysis, working capital management, pricing. All of these things are completely different from your respective accounting roles. So how do you prepare for this shift? First is you leverage sector experience. For example, if you worked in an insurance company in the accounting field, then try and move into an FP&A role in the insurance company itself. Because at least you have that industry understanding, at least you understand the business, at least you understand the language of that business. What is insurance? What is reinsurance? What is a premium? How much commission do you pay these agents? Who are brokers? All of these things, you at least have some sector experience. So try and leverage your sector experience first to move into the FP&A role of that particular sector that you may have prior experience in. Next is study management reports. Even when you're in an accounting role, try and make friends with FP&A or management accounting folks and try and study some reports. How does a budget build? What are the KPIs the company is tracking? How does the profitability look like? How does the gross margin look like? What happens after gross margin? What are some of the items that happen after gross margin? So try and study these management reports if you get a chance. Make compliance your bridge. There are plenty of roles out there which are lean functions. So today, there could be, let's say, a $50 to $100 million company, which has a CFO and maybe 8-10 people in his team. So he cannot afford to have a dedicated FP&A lead and a couple of analysts. So he wants people who have hybrid knowledge, who can do compliance as well, who can do FP&A as well. So that can be your best bet to start with if you are especially looking for a new FP&A role and you don't have prior experience in FP&A. Then Power BI and Tableau or any of the visualization tools can be a plus. Again, these are not substitute for your core FP&A knowledge, but at least they are helpful for you to visualize and communicate better with the business teams when you're dealing especially large chunks of data. Create a reason with the qualification, okay? Especially certifications or anything that you learn, highlight that in the very top part of your resume. If you say chartered accountant and certified FP&A professional, having worked in the areas of so and so, having exposure to industries like XYZ, in the very first para of your resume, that increases your chance of the recruiter calling you. I can tell you with certainty that my wife has been a recruiter. She used to at least scan 100 profiles to get one right call. Now that's the kind of ratio they are going with. They don't have time. So give them the right keywords, the right skill sets that you bring to the table in the very first para of your resume. Don't start with all that career objective and nobody cares about your objective. Everybody, they care about what you are bringing to the table. Highlight that in the very first part of your resume. Yeah. So create a reason with the qualification. Yeah. Now, there are 5 critical skills that CFOs are looking for. I talk to CFOs day in, day out. Okay. We have done our own CFO surveys and identified that today's CFOs and finance leaders are looking for 5 critical skill sets in their team members. Now, which are those 5 skill sets? First is core FP&A concepts, right? Performance management, budgeting, forecasting, management reporting, variance analysis, profitability analysis. All of these are core FP&A concepts. Financial modeling, and not just any financial modeling, specific to FP&A, revenue models, business model, sensitivity planning, scenario analysis. All of these things come under financial modeling, which help you decode and deconstruct the performance of the business and tell the CFO how the business is performing. Then comes data storytelling. It is not only important how you analyze the data, it is equally important how you communicate this data to the business teams. They don't understand 10,000 lines of Excel sheets, right? So your visual story, your narrative, all of those things become important. Business partnering. We just saw that how you need to partner with various teams in the business to collaborate with them, to guide them to take certain prudent financial decisions. And of course, last but not the least, leveraging technological and AI developments that are happening in the finance field. Okay. Most of the CFOs and finance professionals, finance leaders are looking for tech savvy finance professionals today. So these are the 5 core skill sets that CFOs are looking for in their finance function. Okay. If you are equipping yourself with these skill sets, then you have a mute. So then you stand a higher chance of landing your FP&A role or your next set of finance roles, which are strategic finance roles. Now, what we have done at FPI is we conducted our own survey, and 79% of the CFOs, like almost 8 out of 10 CFOs, say that it is generally difficult to find the right FP&A talent. Everybody is looking for experienced FP&A talent, but there's not enough FP&A talent available out there. So what can we do about this? So at FPI, we have come up with our own certification program. It's called Certified Global FP&A Professional Program. It's a 6-month exhaustive global certification built and curated by CFOs and FP&A leaders. There's 10 exhaustive modules, which we'll talk about in a while. Everything through experiential sessions and simulations, real life case studies, real life looking like data, preparing a budget presentation, CFO presentation, all of those things, real life looking like data. That's what we cover in the program. You'll be part of an alumni network that is global. We have seen CGFPA program being taken by students from more than 25 countries. You'll also get personalized coaching sessions with a career coach, placement support, again, not a guarantee, but a placement support, reviewing your resume, your LinkedIn profile, optimizing your interview preparation, mock interviews, all of that support will be provided to land your next FP&A role. Access to monthly Q&A sessions where you'll directly interact with the faculty to address any queries or questions that you might have about the program. Access to external speaker sessions. We always try to bring in the best speakers, CFOs, tool providers to our platform so that our students get the best in what's happening latest in the FP&A world out there. And all of this through easily accessible best-in-class LMS, where you can get all the materials and resources and test preparations as well. So in the CGFPA program, we meet for 2 hours every Saturday live. Okay. And then there'll be some homework that we normally give you, for you to go through it as well. Now, talking about what are we covering in the CGFPA program, there are 10 exhaustive modules. I'll let Asif cover the first 5 modules that you see on the left, and then I'll pick up the next 5 modules on the right.
Thanks, Dhawal. So let me talk about CDFPA a little bit in terms of what it covers in the curriculum. So as we already saw, it has 10 modules. I'll talk about the core modules that you see on the left, which are budgeting, forecasting, financial modeling, and management reporting. So budgeting forecasting covers everything right from different methods of budgeting to how do you build the budget of a company bottoms up, right from the revenue budget to cost of goods sold to production to inventory to admin, SG&A, and capex. So you go through the entire budgeting cycle step by step, along with a project which will help you understand how it looks like in real life. That is a gist of the budgeting forecasting module. Management reporting is covering many examples of commonly used FP&A management reports. Some names I can take: month-end reports, quarter-end reports, flash reporting, KPIs, OKRs are performance management frameworks that we cover. And along with that, you also focus on different types of analysis while you do management reporting, including variance analysis, profitability analysis. So that is a little bit about management reporting module. Financial modeling, I think Dhawal already covered. So it is very specifically to address FP&A use cases, what you would be dealing in your finance role within the industry. So some of the important topics are three-statement financial modeling, revenue model, how do you build financial models for different types of businesses, and how do you make sure that you incorporate different tools and techniques which are required, like scenario planning, sensitivity analysis inside the financial model. Also, we talk about cash flow forecasting models and capital budgeting in the financial modeling module. So that is a little bit about the financial modeling. AI for finance and FP&A was introduced 6 months back, where we started showing how we can leverage AI tools like Copilot and ChatGPT to start with, and then we have added more tools to do exactly the same thing that you used to earlier do in Excel, that used to take maybe hours of time and effort, and same thing that you can now do using AI tools at maybe 1/10 of the time, or maybe saving good amount of time and effort. So a lot of use cases we have developed, which finance people have been using and testing in their roles using AI tools. So that is a little bit about the AI for finance and FP&A module. I'll let Dhawal talk about the data analytics and the other modules that you see on the right side.
Thanks, Asif. So one thing that is important is that you will be dealing with large chunks of data in your FP&A role, right? And you need to know your way, navigate through that data. So that's why in the data analytics module, what we do is we equip you with the basic tool skill sets like Power BI, SQL, and Power Query. At least we make you comfortable so that you are able to use these tools in your day-to-day. We don't claim to make you an expert in data analytics. That requires a lot of time and practice. But at least we make you comfortable to an extent that you start using these tools in your day-to-day FP&A roles as well. Financial analysis, not just ratio analysis. Ratio analysis is more from an external standpoint, but financial analysis is more from an internal standpoint as to how a CFO is managing. Horizontal, vertical analysis, profitability analysis, different types of management reports, all of those things come under the financial analysis part. Then comes storytelling and presentations, best frameworks, best step. What are some of the best practices in terms of storytelling, the frameworks? How do you make an impactful presentation to the CFO or to the board? All of these things are covered in the storytelling and presentations module. Then comes strategy. Any strategic decision that is taken in the company would be incomplete without the backing of a sound financial analysis. Let's say if we want to expand to a new market, if we are not backing that up by sound financial analysis, then that decision would be incomplete, right? So in the strategy module, we cover all the popular strategy frameworks, BCG metrics being included, all the popular strategy frameworks, and explain to you how these strategic frameworks are overlapping with the FP&A function and how you can truly contribute to these strategic frameworks as well. Then comes business partnering, your business acumen, your ability to build strong cross-functional relationships, how you can truly partner with the business and add value. All of those things are covered with real-life examples in the business partnering module. So all in all, 10 solid modules. Everything that you need to be successful at your FP&A role is covered in these CGFPA curriculum. So don't think about CGFPA just as a course. It is a fast-track 6-month version of 2 decades of experience that Asif and I have got compressed into this program, right? This will easily get you ahead by a few years if you really intend to work in FP&A. Yeah, so that's how we have built this program. Now, what is the eligibility criteria for the CGFPA program? It is application-based. So you need to have at least a bachelor's degree or a global equivalent in finance, accounting, or business. Alternatively, you can have any of these professional qualifications like CA, CMA, CPA, CMA, ACCA, or any of the equivalent accounting qualifications of your respective country. Now, we are also a CPD recognized member, so you can claim continuing credits for any of your accounting qualifications as well. How will you get the CGFPA award? There are 2 primary conditions. One is that you need to attend the live online classes at least 50%. Okay. We meet every Saturday for 2 hours and we give you some pre-reading materials as well. So you need to go through that and then come to the live classroom and at least attend 50% of the classes live. Submit a capstone assignment in the end. We'll guide you how to do that step by step. It is actually a budget presentation to a CFO and how does it look like. Once you complete these 2, you will be eligible for the final examination. The final examination is a 2 hours, 100 marks, 50 questions, multiple choice questions examination. We'll give you step-by-step guidance on how to do that. And then once you clear the examination, you will be awarded the CGFPA certificate from FP&A Professionals Institute. Now, the ROI for a program like this, which can easily fast-track your career for a couple of years, I leave it to your imagination. The course fee investment in this program is $1,595. There are payment plans available. It's a 6-month program where we meet every Saturday live for 2 hours. The next cohort is starting on 7th of June. We meet every Saturday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. And about 60 to 90 minutes of pre-reading will be there where you are required to go through certain theory or case studies and something, so that we want to maximize the time in the classroom for quality discussions and case studies and simulations, right? So that's why we expect you to invest at least 3 to 4 hours of your time on a weekly basis. We meet for 6 months every Saturday for 2 hours. This is designed for busy executives. We understand that most of you might be working professionals. That's why we have made sure that we optimize our time. And over the next 6 months, you will be completing the CGFPA program where you will be equipped with all the key skill sets required to work in FP&A. Okay, the important date that you need to now remember is that 25th May is when the second round of applications close. The first round of applications have already closed. The second round of applications close on 25th of May. If you still haven't submitted your applications, Asif will be pasting the application link in the chat box. Make sure that you fill in the applications right away so that at least you have your eligibility checked by the team and at least you will get some offer letters or whatever the offer is going on at that point in time. make sure that you are completing your applications before 25th of May 2025. Don't just take our word for it. There have been dozens and dozens of testimonials. People have been able to transition into FP&A roles. Some of them who are already working in FP&A have been able to implement some best practices and frameworks that we have taught in the classroom. It gives us immense joy when people come and tell us that, hey, we found this job because of you, or I was able to navigate this particular complex situation because what I learned in the class. That is what gives us ultimate satisfaction today. Asif and I have served our tenure as CFOs and FP&A leaders. So titles don't motivate us anymore. It is our students' success that motivates us a lot. So you can reach out to any of our students, talk to them, speak to them about this program, and they will tell you how the program was. Okay, so that's a little bit about working in FP&A. I hope all of you got a little bit of near real taste of how is it like to work in FP&A, and also how you can equip yourself with the latest FP&A skill set through the CGFPA certification.
So feel free to book a call with us and hopefully see you soon in one of the future courses or webinars. Right. Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you so much.
All the best.